Greetings, brothers and sisters. Hello and welcome back to Witches of the Moon. I'm Eva Maria, your Monday hostess for this season. And this week is season 7, week 5. Our topic for discussion will be haunted objects. Before I begin, I'm just going to say, please excuse my appearance. I look like crap, but it's because I feel like crap right now. My head hurts a little bit. But that aside, let's get into the topic. There can be two potential causes for haunted objects. The first being kind of wrapped up in the stone tape theory. Objects can, I find, absorb residual energies of thoughts and feelings from being around people, from being in certain situations, what have you. And there can be sort of residual hauntings resulting from that, emanating from or linked to that particular object, where it's not an intelligent sort of like haunting, it's just sort of a replay of a bit of history, or a replay of an emotional or mental snippet, I guess you could say. Those are probably less dangerous, potentially, I think, than the other kind of haunting that can happen, and that is when a spirit or an entity is connected to an object, as they can be connected to places, they can also be connected to objects. But when you're dealing with a consciousness, depending upon the nature of that consciousness, that entity, that spirit, what have you, depending if it is more or less, I can't think of a better word than pleasant, having a haunted object may or may not be so fun. And I think a lot of people do find them, haunted objects to be interesting, exhilarating, fun to be, in possession of. But I think that's not always the case. It's not always the case. It's not always so great to possess such things. Some people may disagree with me. I don't personally seek out haunted objects. There are people that do. It is possible to work with haunted objects for positive ends, if it is not a residual haunting sort of situation, if it is a conscious spirit or entity that is connected to a particular thing, be it some mundane object or be it some magical object, it is potentially possible, if it is an agreeable consciousness, to communicate with it, maybe work with it. If it is not so agreeable, on the other hand, that could get trickier. Not to say there aren't ways potentially to sort of control the spirit if it is not as pleasant. I mean, if you think about it, in ceremonial magic, there are denominations or paths, or there are studies where people, they work with less pleasant entities. Think about goetic magic, for example. They're working with demons, controlling demons for certain ends, directing them, kind of to do certain things. So if that's possible, then it would be possible to sort of direct or control a less positive spirit connected to a thing for whatever particular ends a magical practitioner may have. However, I don't suggest that someone who has no solid background in something like goetic magic, that they try to do such a thing, because I think it could get very dangerous. That aside, I mean, I don't know what more I can say on this subject other than Personally, I don't seek out haunted objects. They don't particularly frighten me, I would say. When I bring things home, if they are used, if they are antiques or whatever, I seek to cleanse them, and I do suggest people do that if they're very much into collecting antiques. Maybe before you bring them into your home, ideally, or right when you bring them into your home, cleanse them right away, clear them right away. Otherwise, I guess it's kind of one of those situations where it's like, proceed at your own risk. You can take my advice or leave it. Um, it is what it is, I suppose, but while haunted objects can have great potential, some, I'm going to say, excuse the French, really are not to be fucked with. I don't know, for example, if many of you have heard of the story of the Dybbuk box. If you don't know about the Dybbuk box, you might want to look that up. I think it's spelled Dybbuk, Dybbuk. I think that's how it's spelled. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But it's actually, that's a well-known haunted object, and from what I've seen and heard about the owners in succession of that object, that was a pretty bad one. That did a lot of really crazy things to all of the people who came into owning it. From what I understand, the last person who came into possession of it, if I'm remembering correctly, they hid it away so that no one else would own it and be plagued by it because it was so bad. So, in summary, there's potential. There is the potential in haunted objects for a magical practitioner to work with the spirit or spirits potentially connected to said objects if it is not a residual haunting. I'm not so much going to sit here and give you a how-to because that would take a good long while right now, and I'm not feeling very well. But I hope this video has at least given you some food for thought that that's a potential, that can be done. If you do your own further research, or maybe if you ask some questions in the comments below, spark up some discussion. Maybe, other viewers or, other hosts here, or if I find the time, I can chime in on the conversation that you begin, and we can kind of discuss how that might be possible. But for now, I really have to be getting to bed. I have a lot going on tomorrow. I am so not feeling good. And I encourage you to watch the videos of our other hosts here at Witches of the Moon. Let's see what they all have to say in regard to haunted objects. And with that, I'm going to wish you blessed be and ashe. You all stay awesome until our next exchange. And bye-bye for now.